another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. I know it's a hockey night in Pittsburgh, and everybody's fired up at not till 7:38 p.m. I want to thank you for tuning in on Verizon 32 and all you folks in Bethel Park. Yes, Comcast 7 you can watch us, and I know a few people are on Comcast 7. There's always been a lot of confusion with our new show at Sip Sports Bar, but just to clarify, that's a tape show, and it was just put up on BPTV today, and it's on YouTube. Check out that Sip Sports Bar. We'll talk about that later. We have a great day in Pittsburgh sports, and sports any day. That's why we talk here sports on Pittsburgh Sportsline. I have Chip the Prophet Hayner. We got a special, we call him Wally Chip, in honor of Wally Pip. He's taking the place of Big Mike, not permanently. He's just on the IR list today. But we got Zach Brenner, and you can see BC is in the house. And we got Smoking Jim Frazier broke his streak, folks. He was going for 3 in a row. We'll discuss that off air. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine, and thanks to Matt for helping us with the cameras. He's always a good help here and has 3 cameras going here. Thanks for getting me in the middle of that. Appreciate you not chopping my head off. Devin Shea's in the control room.
That's because you got a haircut. It is an up
It is Azu. Mary Ann cut my hair.
has a big hair today.
Amelia. Thanks. Appreciate
Mary
it.
Ann has the best job.
And what we start out with, for anybody that's new, and we're always getting a few newbies out there, and we start with what's on our mind. And I'm going to start out with Smoking Jim Frazier. This is usually a hard act to follow, little Z, but we're going to start Smoking Jim. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine.
Thanks.
What's on my mind is Spotlight Player of the Week. We're going to the 7th round at the Pittsburgh Steelers draft. They drafted Nicholas Williams. He's 6'5", 320 pounds. Runs a 40 and 4.8, does 28 reps with 225 pounds, 33-inch vertical jump. Built like Tarzan, plays like Jane right now. From Alabama, Stanford University in Alabama. So the learning curve is going to be pretty steep for an Alabama kid. But a little bit about his background. John Mitchell, a good friend of mine, the first black player in Alabama history, defensive line coach, also the assistant head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really like Nicholas Williams. I really have very little respect for the coaching ability of John Mitchell. Look for, I really believe the Steelers brought in Nick Williams so that Mike Adams got one person in the NFL he can beat up on. But this is a guy who never was a basketball player in high school down in Huntsville, Alabama. Didn't play football till his senior year and really didn't play it well. Went to Stanford, one of the smallest schools you can ever pick this side of CCAC, and didn't start till his junior year and really he really didn't blow nobody up then. This should have been a walk-on, but John Mitchell went down to Alabama, had dinner with him, enjoyed their conversation, so they brought him in as a project. Probably won't see the field for 4 years. So that's my Spotlight Player of the Week. Nicholas Williams, built like Tarzan, plays like Jane.
Smoking Jim, you're always excellent there, but I just don't know how you can be a Steelers scout, too, and go eat their free steaks in the war room.
I trust the brothers, all black cooks, so they're not going to poison me.
Thanks for your spotlight again this week. I appreciate it. Now we got Little Z.
That's a tough one to follow.
I set it up that way. Notice how I distracted so the air just calms down in here a little bit. So,
Thank you.
Little Z, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? As predicted last night at Sip Sports Bar, I told you folks at home that number 92, Thomas Vokoun, was going to start in Golden Knight. Because that's just the way things are. You got to go with your hot hand. No matter what anybody else says or does, you got to go with the hot player. And that's what it is. So that's why he's in Golden Knight. As Al said, it's 7:38 p.m., so stay tuned until 7:38, please.
Don't switch that down.
Don't switch that down, please. Stay right
Or
here.
remote. Leave the remote.
Leave the remote right where it's at. So that's what's on my mind pretty much, that number 92 is in goal tonight, and hopefully he continues to play like he's been playing stellar. and push Marc-Andre Fleury to get back to wherever it is he lost himself.
Well, thanks, Little Z, but I have a theory. When you have a new baby, sometimes you don't sleep right. So maybe that was a little distraction. I'm still with number 2-9. Not the old 2-9er, but I'll take the new 2-9. You know, so I respect that, and I got to admit I was wrong. I'm pretty outspoken, you know, and I'm not very humble, but I do admit I was wrong.
I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna document the time and place.
This is on video.
I don't have to.
This is on video.
All right, timestamp that, Devin. Thanks.
All right, let's move on. We're getting a little crazy here before it's even my turn to talk. So let's go to Chip the Prophet Hayner. What's on your mind?
That's on my mind. Hey, and everybody out there, thanks for tuning in tonight. It's great to have all you people paying attention to our little gig here on Tuesday nights at BPTV. You know, just want to give a little shout out to my friend Smoking Jim. If you get a chance to watch Pittsburgh Sportsline at Sips Bar from last night, this guy had the entire bar in stitches. Real funny stuff, man. Jim, props to you. What's on my mind? I got two things, and I joked with Alan before.
Only two.
Before the show started, I said I'm going to try to keep this under 30 minutes for you. No, first there's two things. You know, last night there was 2 Game 7s in the NHL playoffs. You know, and it's one of the most exciting games there is to see. And the Boston Bruins had an amazing turnaround, beat Toronto. They were down by 3 goals with less than 10 minutes left. And they won it in overtime. But where I want to take issue with is with the Washington Capitals, okay? The Washington Capitals lost Game 7 5-0 to the New York Rangers. And I did predict that the Rangers were going to beat the Capitals and send Ovechkin back to Siberia in 7 games this year. But here's the thing that gets me, the Washington Capitals quit about 13 seconds into the third period. They just completely gave up. The last 2 games of the series, the Capitals scored no goals. Okay, here's Alex Ovechkin, who is the leading goal scorer in the NHL this year, scored 1 goal in 7 games. Last night he spent more time hitting people than he did shooting the puck at the net. And, so after the game is over, what does this moron do? He goes to the Russian media because, he had to speak to somebody that, could understand him in Russian so that, he didn't have to face the fact that he's an idiot to American press. He claims that there's some kind of conspiracy with the NHL higher-ups because nobody called any penalties on the Rangers in games 6 and 7. That does seem kind of odd, but, to blame the fact that you took a dive and you quit on your team in the Game 7 in the Stanley Cup playoffs, instead of admitting the fact that you're a bum, you try to blame it on somebody else. And I'm telling you what, if he ends up winning the MVP award, he's going to taint that award forever. Somebody like him never should win that award, and he needs to go back to Russia and stay there. But my second thing that I want to talk about...
Don't cut yourself
Ovechkin
short.
loves the golf?
No.
It's not Ovechkin's golf game?
No, it's not Ovechkin's golf game. The next thing is, I've always taken issue with the commissioners of all of our major sports entities. And once again, Bud Selig has shown that he has absolutely no leadership, and he's made complete mockery out of Major League Baseball. Now, I am a huge Major League Baseball fan, and everybody knows that my passion is with the Pittsburgh Pirates. But there were some issues that happened last week with the umpires, and, the commissioner's office really hasn't done anything about it. First off, they have this partial replay deal going on. So what happens is you got a game between the Cleveland Indians and the Oakland A's. It's the 9th inning. The Indians are winning.
Look at that.
The Indians are winning 4-3. 4-3. There's 2 outs. Oakland's batter gets up and hits the ball, hits it out of the park. It lands about 4 feet above the yellow line. Clearly a home run. The umpire calls it a double. So the managers come out. They ask for a replay. It's obvious to everybody in the stadium. It's obvious to everybody that saw the TV program. And the only people it wasn't obvious to was the umpires, who said it was a ground rule double. Subsequently, Oakland loses the game because the next batter up got out. And, they next day, Joe Torre, the head of the umpires or discipline for the Major League Baseball, said, well, the umps blew that call. And it's like, well, there's no real big deal. The umpires can do whatever they want, and there's no repercussion. Well, the thing that makes it even more curious about what's going on with Major League Baseball and the umpires is 2 nights later, in a game. The umpires completely blew a call. The Los Angeles Angels and the Houston Astros were playing a game, and the Astros put a pitcher in. They wanted to bring a relief pitcher in. He started warming up, and all of a sudden the manager decided, you know what, I really didn't want to bring him in. I'm going to bring in somebody else. So he brings in another reliever, which is against the rules in Major League Baseball. If you bring in a reliever, he must pitch to one batter until the completion of his
pitch, though, I thought.
No, until he completes that bat at bat. Okay, so he's either going to get a hit or gets it out. So the manager of the Angels comes out, flipping out, saying that's against the rules, and the umpires said, well, you know what, we're going to let the change go in. So the manager of the Angels protested it, but which was a moot point because the Angels ended up winning the game anyhow. The next day, Major League Baseball suspends the chief of the umpiring crew for 2 games for, not knowing the rules of baseball. Well, this is the thing that I find curious. You suspend the crew chief. There was 4 umpires on that field. You're telling me out of 4 umpires, not one of them knows the damn rules of the game? I mean, I think the whole crew should have been suspended. And, if they're going to do this thing with the replay, they either go full replay or no replay. Because what they've got right now, it doesn't work at all. What they've got in the NHL is a system that works very well. They replay every goal that's scored in the NHL. It's reviewed in Toronto. They use high-definition cameras. They use every different camera angles. In less than a minute, you get a decision. Instead of taking 20 minutes to determine that a ball that was clearly a home run isn't a home run, you could get something done. So, Bud Selig, you're a fool. You need to just retire, hire a commissioner that will do something and get the integrity back in the game of baseball. But that's what's on my mind.
I think Bud Selig's thanking you for watching all that baseball.
I do have a passion for the game.
We'll revisit that on the revisit section, but I'm just going to do a short what's on my mind. And you can't top what these guys are doing, but I did want to honor a family here, the Jack Butler family. They just a great family. I become friends with neighbors of mine, Tom and Bernie Hobart. Bernie's a daughter of Jack, and they're great kids. They're a great family. Always got along. It's just, I want to give my deepest sympathy to them. They're just great family in the community, a lot of sports stars and everything else too. Plus they do a lot of nice work in the community. And that's what's on my mind. You got to honor some of the people that are true heroes, because a lot of these sports people aren't, and he definitely was.
Well, to speak to that, one of the nicest things that did happen to Jack Butler is that the old timers committee, Art Rooney pushed very hard to get Jack Butler into the Hall of Fame.
And he got inducted right before he passed, too, so that's so great that he got to enjoy that before he passed.
It doesn't always work that way, so shout out to them if they ever watch the show and whatever. We also have policemen that are friends, because Tom's a Baldwin cop there, too, so and a lot of our friends are from Bethel Park.
Be safe out there to all the cops out there at Bethel Park, all the municipalities that watch the show. Be safe out there.
Definitely, and now we're going to do a little revisit what's on our minds, and I wanted to start out with revisiting with the rules, whether it's baseball, football, basketball. My dad was a referee.
Yes.
Now, he had a rule book on him at all times. And matter of fact, there were 4 of us. I'll give you a little bathroom humor here. Can you imagine we have 1 bathroom in a house, a mother, myself, and 3 sisters, and we can't get in the bathroom.
Wow.
Because there's a guy reading a rule book. In there, my dad. Now,
a referee read the rule book,
and then
was a concept.
And then listen to this. So Chip,
that's old school.
Listen, then they would call. I'd get coaches. Any of you hear George Couples?
Yes.
Yeah.
He would call my dad. There'd be other.
Couples Stadium down in
Definitely,
Southside.
when he ran the City League, they'd call up and ask my dad an interpretation. So when you tell me about something so egregious on a call, all they had to do is grab a rule book. You can have one in your pocket, and you could be a referee and go, yeah, section 202.A. Here we go, folks, because it's all there. And now here, you guys got smartphones. How hard is it to pull up a smartphone? Here's the rules. So they should all be gone.
Something like that involves the rules, that is something that a referee should know, because the manager of the baseball teams knew what the rule was. The manager of the Astros didn't, but the manager of the Angels did, and the referees don't.
And that's my point to this. When
The
they do put
referees
the time
are
in.
going to blow calls because they're human beings the same that we
Yeah.
are. Anybody can make a bad judgment call because those are bang calls. But this is something that this kind of thing can't happen. It can't be allowed to be happening.
And I like the human element there, but now with technology in certain ways, like even with a home run, you got lasers and everything. Zach, you probably use them in measuring things and balancing things. You can see a line, when you're putting in your construction or cutting whatever, plasterboard. It's precise.
Precise.
So how can you not have something with the walls, because they got all these fancy stadiums now. Look at them. You got angles here, angle there, then you got something over here and fans in the way. If a ball's a home run and it's not caught, it's a home run.
Correct.
So that's how simple it should be. And that's one of my little rants, Chip, that
No,
you have rules to follow. See, a lot of these things don't need change. You don't have to put a lot of technology in. You have an
You got to
umpire
improve
crew.
the human element.
Right, and you have, like in basketball, you got what, 3 referees and another guy sitting on the side? How hard is it to get an interpretation of a rule?
Well, yeah, you've got
That's
4 umpires out on the field. You're telling me not one of them knew what the rule was? That's just.
And here's what's worse: if you're protecting your guy because you're not a snitch, that he doesn't know the rules, then none of you should be an umpire or on the base paths.
You hit that one right there on the nose.
All right, unless you guys got some more revisitation. Anything else you want to revisit on your comments?
Well, something that I heard through the grapevine, I don't know if you guys heard use the same grapevine that I do, but they were saying that
I don't have the same one.
As far as the home run, there was a double. They says that a lot of the umpires are against instant replay, so they were just sabotaging the rule. It's a double.
But here's how simple you make it. You're suspended.
Or fired. That's insubordination.
I'm pretty sure they got a union.
Do the job the way
Don't bring up the union. I was there. Jeez.
You made up a very good point there, Jim, because that's part of what the problem is the arrogance of the umps. That they truly are not unbiased. As a referee, you're supposed to be, follow the rules down the line, unbiased. Not favoring one side. And and they've got an issue that they're trying to to bring their point home. I think something needs to be done, and then changes need to be made, and they don't need to wait until after the season's over. They ought to do something about this now.
And see, I always say I missed my call, and I should have been an official or referee because I could be bought.
How much? How much? What's your price? I heard it's $1 million.
Let's be thankful that he's here and he's not officiating in the games.
Because I'd throw him
you see
out.
him at a Gateway sporting event officiating a game, you call the whippy immediately, folks, because that's just not fair.
Yeah, but
You heard it right here. He's for sale.
Smoking Jim, the best referee money can buy.
I'm for sale too, but I'm not an official.
Just call Brenner Contract.
Please, if you need me, call me. I'll be there.
Call the show, 412-831-3304. You can get a hold of Little Z right now before the Penguin game. He does kitchens, bathrooms. He'll dig up concrete. He'll cut a tree. Whatever you need.
Whatever. Everything.
And with me, it don't even have to be money. You get me Beyonce. I like my cake on the ground while I'm still around.
And while we're moving forward here, I got my Sip Sports Bar segment. What a show we had last night. That bar, that was one of the biggest crowds that we had there. And I don't know, Little Z, did you hear when we said there's Campiti's Pizza, 50 cents a slice there?
I did.
After this show, I know where you're going on your way home. Campiti's Pizza's great. Thursday night, 25-cent jumbo wings. I can't make it. I might be late, though. If you're up there late, like you usually
Me and Bella Lisa will be in the house.
What time you get?
The chicken wing
Not this week.
champion.
What time you getting there this week? Maybe I can make that in my schedule. After 9?
Ooh.
I'm getting there earlier than that.
You see, Al has a little black book now.
Aaron Ward.
He got Will Chamberlain's little black book.
Aaron Ward gave me this. She told me I got to retire my manila folder. I was writing too many phone numbers on it. But don't forget Sip Sports Bar. We have a lot of guests that come up there, a lot of great people. We have a new bartender, waitress up there, Kelly. Just tell her Pittsburgh Sportsline sent you there, and you'll still get charged the same price.
Kelly did a great job.
You might get a little bit better service.
Oh, yeah,
though.
she was hustling last night. She was hustling.
She was.
Definitely. They put on a nice
I still
spread
miss
for
you,
me.
Tracy, but Kelly's a little bit younger.
Yeah. We'll move forward here. We go with a couple of my favorite segments. The first segment I talk about is Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac.
Hey, thanks, Al Levine. I appreciate that. This week we're going way back before my time. 1969. Pittsburgh Steelers in 1969 had just hired Chuck Noll, and they had the worst team in football. And the Steelers needed to draft a real killer. But in the first pick overall, Buffalo already took O.J. Simpson. So the Steelers had to settle for Mean Joe Green. Mean Joe came in from North Texas State. Nobody ever heard of this guy. Same old Steelers. He came in, and about 3 or 4 games into the season, the meanest, toughest guy in football was Dick Butkus. Dick Butkus cheap shot at one of the Steelers. Joe Green went over, lifted Dick Butkus off his feet, spit in his face. Butkus went back to the bench, and they knew there was a new sheriff in town, and his name is Mean Joe. He was tough. He was the cornerstone. The Steeler that really turned the franchise around, him and Chuck Noll and all the great scouts that they had back then. And I tell you what, Joe Green is retiring now, but what a great, great player. Unblockable, quick, fast, could do everything. So here's to you, Mean Joe Green, 4 Super Bowl rings. And I'm still mad at him.
Why?
Me and Joe Green had omelets and steak for breakfast during the draft one morning, and he never told me that he was retiring. He was stepping down. But
You know why? He knows you're a writer for the new Pittsburgh Courier.
Well,
you would have scooped everybody.
Well, I guess he probably figured, well, why should I tell you? Because I really wasn't scouting. I was just taking my paycheck every year because Joe Green was just a figurehead, and he earned the right to be.
Okay.
You know, Joe Green wasn't going out there on the road checking these guys
I thought he
out.
did.
No.
Oh,
but
man. You're breaking my heart.
But what a great, great player and a hero of mine, Mean Joe Green. What a tough guy.
All-time greatest Coca-Cola commercial, too.
Yes,
Before
he
my
was.
time. I didn't come along until 84, so
Yes, he
I didn't
was.
get to see any of this
84.
stuff
How
really.
long have you had that beard?
Since '84.
Since 84.
Where's his mama
He was
at?
born with the 5 o'clock
Where's
shadow.
his mother at? Where's she at? We got to get a baby picture. I'll post that on Pittsburgh Sportsline at
Gonna have a
Facebook.
beard.
If I see a beard on that, Lois, come on. Where's the beard for the kid?
Hopefully Lois is getting ready for this Penguin game, as I know she is.
I know
loves the
she's
Penguins.
watching
Huge
us.
Penguins fan.
Her baby's right on the show here. I know that.
That's a tough call. I think she likes the Penguins a little bit more.
I think she likes Duper.
She does. She does.
I see that all the time. Thanks, Smokin' Jim. Sorry to interrupt you on that, but that was a great fiction and fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac. Now we go with my other favorite segment. It's Chip's Trivia Time.
Thank you, Alan. And, I always call this my little bits of
stop.
useless information that I dig out of everywhere. And then, first off, Mike Butera's not here this week, but, you're always here with us in spirit. Mike's birthday's this week, so let's give a little shout out for Mike. And
Oh,
say
he might
happy
call
birthday
in.
to him.
Oh, happy birthday.
412-831-3304. Happy birthday.
In honor of Mike, being, the Italian connection on our show, May 14th, 1998, old Blue Eyes passed away. So, a little pause there for Frank Sinatra. But, Alan, you talked about, Jack Butler and his passing, and he's one of the greatest Steelers that ever played. He only got to play 9 years because back in his day, when you got your knees taken out, they didn't have the ability to rebuild them. So he played 9 seasons for the Steelers. And when he retired from the NFL, he was number 2 in interceptions by defensive backs in NFL history at the time. He had intercepted 52 passes. Yeah. And I was talking to Jim last night when I kind of was like wondering who was the person that was number 1, and it's not who we thought it was. And I don't think you nor anybody else would guess what it was, but the guy at the time who still holds
Dick LeBeau?
who's number 2 in interceptions in NFL history is a guy named Eamon Tunnell, and he played for the New York Giants from 1948 to 1958. Yeah. Played for the Packers from 59 to 61. He had 79 interceptions.
Right.
And, that leads me to, Rod Woodson ended up his career with number 3 with 71 interceptions. But the guy that was ranked number 1 in interceptions in NFL history, a gentleman named Paul Krause
from the Minnesota Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings. He played for a couple of seasons for the Washington Redskins. He had 81 interceptions in his career, and I think that's a record that's never going to be broken. And he also holds another distinction in the same as a number of the Buffalo Bills did. He's another gentleman that lost 4 Super Bowls.
Wow.
playing in the Minnesota
That's why
Vikings.
nobody's ever heard of him.
Okay, so, that's my little football trivia, and I wanted to give a little shout-out to Jack Butler, and recognize his accomplishment. I like to throw a little baseball in the mix, too, and I got one interesting statistic because we've talked about baseball and pitchers and everything like that. Well, I was on May the 13th, 1952, a guy named Ron Nakai, playing in the Appalachian League, so this is a minor league team.
You're reaching on this one.
Threw a no-hitter. Threw a no-hitter. He won this game 7-0. Wow. He struck out 27 batters. Every batter he faced, he struck out.
Wow.
So that's why I decided to bring that up.
That's worth it.
What year was that? 1952.
1952, yes, sir. Woo. Okay, now next up on my
let us digest that a second. There's only 27 outs.
There you go. So we're into the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, and just to give you a little background on where the Stanley Cup came from. The Stanley Cup was purchased in 1892 by the Governor General of Canada, and his name was Lord Frederick Stanley. So the Stanley Cup has been around since 1892. The Montreal Canadiens have won the Stanley Cup 24 times. The Montreal Canadiens are like the New York Yankees of baseball as far as hockey goes. One gentleman has won enough Stanley Cups, and I guess if this was nowadays, he'd have Stanley Cup rings, but he won more rings than he had fingers for. Henri Rocket Richard won 11 Stanley Cups in his career.
Wow. Wally Chip just come back on us. There's young Wally Chip there.
So the person that scored the most points in the Stanley Cup Finals was Wayne Gretzky in 1988.
Greatest ever.
But the Oilers. No, not the greatest ever. Mario Lemieux's the greatest hockey player ever.
13 points in the finals against the Boston Bruins. Patrick Waugh is a Stanley Cup MVP 3 times. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy. That's more than any other player in NHL history. And during the Stanley Cup Finals in 1905, a guy
I don't remember that one, Chip.
Frank McGee played for the Ottawa Silver Screen, scored 14 goals in one game.
14 in one game.
Wow.
But
Was there a goalie?
I'm going to Google that just to check that out. I want to see if they got a video on that. I believe you, but I want to see the
To
video.
the viewers at home, you don't really get the chance to call and answer any of the questions because Chip answered them for you in order.
Hold on, what was the question?
He gave you the question and he gave you the answer.
Why do you think we want to put
Can't
a...
award prizes or anything.
Hey, little Z.
Just to give you a clue, Z, the next call we get in here this year will be our first.
Oh, we've already had a couple. We did have a couple. Hey. White collar brawler called in.
We gotta touch. We gotta
stand corrected.
We gotta touch back on, since the Penguins are getting ready to play. We gotta touch back on this though. Mario Lemieux is the greatest hockey player ever, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I don't have to get loud or scream or anything like that to tell you. Listen to this. Mario Lemieux is the greatest hockey player because he didn't have what Wayne Gretzky had and the Edmonton Oilers. They had Grant Fuhr. He's a brother. He might be your brother. He's Smoking Jim's brother, Grant Fuhr. I'm going to take it back for you on the trivia. Grant Fuhr, a legendary hockey goalie, played for the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, he had some of the best players ever.
Yari Curry, Anderson,
Paul Coffey,
Mark Messier.
That
team was stacked.
One question is, what's Gretzky's nickname?
I don't remember.
The great one.
There we go.
We don't call him the great one in Pittsburgh.
But what do we call Mario Lemieux? La Magnificent. Yeah?
I don't know what that
The magnificent one. That's the magnificent one for our folks listening in the home one, brush and roller rink. That's the magnificent one.
Okay.
That's better than the great one. He was magnificent. He was better than great. He was magnificent.
Well, that moved up the Penguins segment that I have. We might as well keep talking Penguins here.
Well, why don't we just get on to the NHL playoffs? You know, we're starting the second round of the playoffs, and at the
Good suggestion, Chipper.
the beginning of the first round of playoffs, they made some predictions on the 8 first
How'd
round
that work
matchups.
out for you?
Well, it worked out real well. I got 1 out of 8 right.
And that, folks, that's why we like to have some fun on here, because he's known as Chip the Prophet Hainer. Doesn't mean he's 100% right.
No, and you know what? The one I
Smokey
got
Jim's
right
bookkeeper made a lot of money.
I did predict that the Washington
I said
Capitals
keeper.
would lose to the New York Rangers in 7 games, and they did. I did have Chicago winning their first round series. They did. I had LA winning theirs. They did. I had Anaheim beating Detroit, but Detroit came back and won in 7 games. Pittsburgh outlasted New York. I had Montreal beating Ottawa. Ottawa knocked the Canadiens out, and the big shock of the whole playoffs was San Jose sweeping Vancouver in the first round. That was a big shock. And then Boston pulled out a nail biter there.
Squeaker.
And,
Who was that
7
Vancouver
games
game a shock? That Vancouver series a shock too. They have Robert Luongo's when you think Fleury's bad at times. Go to Vancouver and check out Robert
I'm
Luongo.
going to tell you what, the Sharks have been beached more times in the playoffs over the last few years.
Now I feel bad
They
for the
generally don't
Anaheim
play
Mighty
very well.
Ducks.
But, you know, to speak to the 4 matchups, you've got San Jose playing LA. You've got Chicago playing Detroit. That's
like
two.
Chicago.
That's 2 of the original 6. You've got Boston playing the New York Rangers. That's another 2 of the original 6. And you've got the Penguins in Ottawa. Now, I was making a point to Alan before the show. Out of the 8 teams that are left in the playoffs, we've got the last 4 Stanley Cup champions playing in this round of the playoffs. You've got the Penguins from 2009, the Blackhawks from 2010, 2011 the Boston Bruins, and last year the LA Kings. So realistically, the Final 4 matchup could be the last 4 Stanley Cup champions. And that means this is a wide open tournament. And any of these teams are capable of winning. They've got people that have been there before and knows what it takes.
With all these great matchups, you think that the ratings will beat the Leave It to Beaver reruns?
I doubt it.
It's hard. It's hard.
I'm just impressed with Chip's knowledge of statistics and such. Like it's very impressive.
That's why we brought you on the show. He needed somebody to pump him up
Chip's
because
the
we're
man.
deflating him all the time.
So
I don't know
we
why. Don't deflate this.
We don't put up with all
my
that.
picks for this round of the playoffs: L.A., Chicago, and we're going to be in the West Finals. Pittsburgh and Boston in the East Finals.
I like this team of 4 right here. This is a team of 4 right here.
Whoa, Big Mike, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Big Mike. My birthday's on May 30th, by the way.
Whoa. And you might want to go to the Meadows on
May
May
31st. Come
31st.
down to the Meadows and check us out. I hope everybody can make it. Come on down.
Look for little Z at the finish line.
Look for me. I'm going to be running in a race.
No, he's not going to be in a race. And he's not as big as a horse. Come on, quit saying that out there. There's no way. He's a good guy.
Sometimes I got an appetite, man. I feel like I eat a horse.
I see that. Hey, I want to talk some boxing tonight because of the 2 guys over there. They're boxing experts. I'm an amateur. They brought me into their house, so I'm glad to be there. Smoking Jim and Little Z, what's going on in the boxing world right now? Anything we should know about? Or
Money Mayweather keeps making those checks, those big paydays, getting paid. One of the biggest earners in all of professional sports.
Well, I think it's a shame that Money Mayweather, he signed a deal, lucrative deal with Showtime. And there's another undefeated fighter that beat Money Mayweather to death in a sparring session.
It's on
out there
YouTube.
And his name is Paul Spadafore. And I think that Paul Spadafore has a style that you can't hit him. He's still a great defensive fighter. I think it would be a great matchup. He's not afraid of Money Mayweather. I think a lot of these people are so afraid of Money Mayweather's hand speed, or they're afraid that they can't understand his uncle when he speaks. But I would love
oh,
to.
that's true.
That's true.
Roger, in all fairness, though, Roger's health is declining, and if anybody knows in the world of boxing, hopefully Roger sticks around a little bit longer.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. He was a great fighter
Part
in
of the
his
problem,
day.
and we've talked about this, at length. I always have complained about the fact that the good fighters, nobody wants to fight anybody. But, you would think somebody like Money Mayweather would start taking care of some of the other fighters, and spread some of that wealth around. Like, he doesn't have to, I mean.
Well, his
why?
girlfriend buys $10,000 shoes.
No,
he can't.
I mean,
It's hard to spend that.
Give Spatafore a chance.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he's paid his dues,
Yeah.
and he deserves a shot at
$10,000. I mean, he smacked her around, so I guess $10,000 shoes is what you get, to get smacked.
Hold it,
around.
little Z. You don't know. He's a scout of the NFL. He's a scout of models. He's also a scout of shoes. So when he tells you a $10,000 shoe, now that's a pair. You get two. He knows. I don't even question it. And as far as domestic violence, we're against that. That's ridiculous. And here's a guy that went to prison for that and had to cry to get out of there. So.
And he's still the highest paid professional athlete today.
And that's what's wrong with boxing right now. And he won't take on all the legitimate challengers.
Or any legitimate challenger.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's in the works. I would love to see Paul get the chance.
Well, if we get him on Pittsburgh Sportsline at Sips, he'll be fighting Money Mayweather. All we got to do is get him on Sips.
Yeah. We had Johnny Spells on, and now he's wearing the belt. Yeah.
Definitely. If we can get that Isaiah the Prophet guy on, he'll be the next champ. Oh, he is a champ already.
I don't want him and little Teddy fighting until they start making money, man. That's a money fight right there.
Well, you know what? One of them might get a little bigger. I think, Isaiah's a little bigger.
Yeah, Isaiah might. He might get bigger.
He might get to that 141, 150 real quick.
He might be
I would love
175.
nothing more than for them to separate and take over separate weight classes and be the best.
They will. I'm going to give a prediction right now, and I don't know much about boxing. They're both not going to be at 95 much longer. One will, one won't.
And you look at Johnny Spells and Eberhardt. Johnny Spells is going to probably put on another 10, 15, 20 pounds, so they'll be in different weight
classes.
classes.
Since I met him a few months ago, I think he grew an inch and a half, 2 inches. And that fight alone, Smoking Jim, watch it on BPTV. That Golden Gloves Part 2, you'll see Isaiah. You'll see a lot of great fighters, but you'll see Johnny Spell, where Smoking Jim was betting a house against them, and it's rare.
Not me.
Well, you can hear me on there. I'm for him.
I always root for the underdog because that's what I am too. So we all have something in common. That's why I get along with all these guys. I grew up with all these guys, and I'm going to continue to be around all these great fighters because we all have something in common, man. We all started at the same place. So there's nothing but the ceiling for some of us.
And Johnny Spell's been drinking a lot of milk because on the north side you can't drink the water.
Not only is he a scout in many areas, he's a milk scout and a water scout. How do you know about all the water there? What's going on? You got too much talent here.
But the thing about Johnny Spells is, unlike the Prophet is being groomed to have the most minimal amateur career possible and start going right to the pros.
I love it.
As opposed to Spells, where he has the ambitions of being in the Olympics, and that just takes time, and that prolongs your amateur career and prevents you from getting paydays a lot sooner than you should have had. So that's what we're kind of a difference with the Prophet to Spells is Spells has other ambitions of representing his country and doing other things in boxing, whereas the Prophet just wants to win and win big. So
can I ask you a question? If that was your son, because I know what I would do if it was my son, he'd be homeschooled. But if you had a guy as talented as Isaiah Guy, obviously you go to school to get a job, and Isaiah Guy's job is going to be a professional fighter. Would you put him homeschool and let him train all day?
No.
That's what I would do.
No, because you still then it would come back later in life and say that he was deprived of the opportunity of being in the school with all the other kids and making friends and building relationships and getting a proper education. Like I told my coach trainer JB, the number one thing here is to get an education first. So no matter what happens in boxing, that you have something to fall back on. If you can't do good in high school, you're not going to do good in college. And this is the same thing that we go over and over again every single time. Like you got to be able to talk. When they put the camera in front of you and the microphone's in front of you, you have to be able to talk. You have to have an intellect. You have to have a vocabulary. You got to know math. You got to be able to represent yourself. So these are all things that you need to stay in school and learn before you come and play with the big dogs. And that's what he gets told.
I think you've got a letter of intent for the University of Gateway. That Taylor made for him.
Why do they have
We'll
boxing
start
there
our
now?
We'll start our own boxing wing.
Coach Brenner needs I need a vehicle, so I'm looking at a Cadillac CTS. If you guys are listening, I mean, if the keys
No,
are
they can,
outside.
hey, little Z, they provide some place for you to live, and maybe they have a job. Oh, you already have a job, so.
And I got a bone to pick with our guest last night at Sips Crystal. She said that she hated school in high school, so she got all A's so she could graduate. Here's something that everybody should know. You can graduate with all C's.
Hold it, how do you know that?
You can
I know
graduate
it
with
firsthand,
C's,
brother.
too. You can graduate, all you need is a 65%, I
You can
believe.
also graduate studying
60%.
general.
What happened to our
Shout out to the California University Vulcans girls basketball team, coached by Stowe Valley alum Jess Strom.
Jeff Strom is coaching.
Yeah, she's the head coach of
now
the
I
Vulcans.
got a story. I got a story.
Oh,
let's
Never
hear it.
heard of Jeff Strom before in my life, but I heard of
Listen,
Tanisha Wright. So,
West Mifflin.
so West Mifflin had just built their new gym, so I wanted to go see Tanisha Wright, and it was senior night, and everybody had their mother and father, and they had their roses. Well, Tanisha Wright just showed up with her great-grandma, and I felt so bad for her. All of a sudden, this little girl from Still Valley, she is the point. I mean, handling the point. I've never seen a basketball player this great. I says, "Who is this? Who is this?" I'm asking everybody who this is, right? Because I didn't know anything about it. Second half, they put Tanisha Wright on there, and here they're real good friends, which I didn't know.
Best
and West Mifflin ended up winning the game. Here, they're two of the best players in the whole state. They both went to Penn State. And she's down at KLU. I'm going to have to go down to KLU to
Is that not your alma mater? We took a road trip a
Yeah,
couple
we
weeks
sure
ago.
did. I didn't even
Little-
recognize
it's
the place.
beautiful
It's so
out
nice.
there.
Yeah.
For anybody that got to listen to the Cal University telecast down there on Cal UTV, you got to hear me talk a little bit about growing up with Jess Strom. Jess Strom was actually one of the only girls to ever play soccer with the boys.
No.
And I happened to be the goalie that she played against. She never scored on me.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm telling you that right
We're
now. You
calling
never
her out.
scored on me, Jess. You know you never did. But
Really? We're going to have to have
she
her as a
probably
guest.
scored a lot. But
Your
I'm
parents let you play soccer?
we played hockey, soccer.
That's the scout. That's the scout. there. Look at him. He can't turn it
We
off.
only dreamed about dunking at night in our dreams.
He just can't turn that off.
They say white men can't jump.
And it's
We
true.
can grow beards though, and make construction companies and appear on TV shows. So anything's possible. That's what I tell you, folks. Stay in school, and anything's possible. I did graduate high school.
You just heard it from Little Z.
Still Valley too, with Jess Strong,
Best young businessman in the house here.
and that's
So
no
you went to
joke
school
either.
with Luke Gatsy.
Yeah, me
So
and Luke Getzey. I lost by one vote for class president to Luke Getzey. For you folks at home that didn't show up that day to vote, I needed one vote, man. We could have changed the world.
And you couldn't find a way to get him impeached?
We had a revote too, as a matter of
But
fact.
that brings me to another story. Same year, I go to West Mifflin to see McAllister play. Remember McAllister?
Yeah, Brian.
Brian
He went to
McAllister
Duquesne
played.
University
And
and
I
got
tell you what,
sidetracked.
Luke Getzey was filling it up. But Brian McAllister would have been in the NBA, but he didn't go to Pitt. He didn't want to work and go to Pitt.
Those
so he
were
went to
big-time
Duquesne to be a
rivalries.
big fish in a small pond. If he'd have went to Pitt, he probably wouldn't have started as a freshman. Duquesne said, come in here. You're going to start as a freshman, Russell Shell, and he went to Duquesne. But if he'd have went to Pitt, he'd have pushed himself a little bit.
Now he's
Yeah.
out in Arizona State with the speedster, the speed king Todd Graham. I heard, isn't that where Russell Shell's going on to?
No, actually,
No.
he's going to sign with UCLA.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
really?
not allowed. They
He's-
Oh, he's a
he-
Bruin though.
Yeah.
He's going to be in
Pitt
LA.
wouldn't let him go.
He's going to be in
But
LA
they'll let him go to
smoking dope.
UCLA.
They just had twins. They just had in LA smoking dope. They just had twins. They just had twins. Not him, but
Russell
Pitt
Shell.
just lost twins. Football players that just
Yeah.
defunct as well, and so they got to
Yeah, there's a lot.
get a
There's
coach
a
in there.
lot
Pitt
going
gotta
on
get a
there.
coach
And,
in
you
there.
know, I mean, you got people jumping ship at the football program. Jamie Dixon lost somebody else in the basketball. He's only got 10 athletes on scholarship now for the basketball team. You know, now to speak about something positive that's going on with Pitt, the Pitt baseball team
Yes.
is ranked number 16 in the
I
nation.
didn't know
right
that.
now.
We'll never
Nice
get to
place.
talk
Right,
about
right.
that on this show because it's all about what is that? The CMU baseball.
Well, you know,
No, it's not. We've been
here's-
trying to reach out to Point Park College,
Here's the
too.
thing about the Pitt
We
baseball
like
team.
CMU.
Pitt baseball team is trying to do something that's never been done by the Pitt baseball team. They're trying to make it to Omaha, and Omaha is where the College World Series is played. And the Pitt baseball team, there's a chance that they may be able to make it. They've got a good record. They just swept Villanova this past weekend.
They got good pitching.
They're playing real good, but they've never been to the College World Series, and that would be quite a feather in their cap if they did.
And here's Smoking Jim. Here's some trivia out in Omaha for you.
Okay.
One of the richest men in the country lives in Omaha.
There's a
Warren Buffett.
Nebraska.
Really?
Yeah. So see that?
Related to Jimmy?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Distant.
Well, one applied himself differently than the other. So one's in Margaritaville and one's in Omaha.
They're actually
One's super
they
rich.
are related though. They check the family tree.
We got a flash. News flash. Penguins are up 1-0 in the first period.
Who they playing?
I don't know.
The Ottawa Senators.
Ottawa Senators.
Pens and Sens tonight.
That's in Canada.
Now, since we covered Pitt, we covered boxing, we covered basketball. What about the Buccos? We got to do some Bucco time
we're
here.
talking about the Bucks. The Pirates have been playing pretty consistent ball this year, but last night their nemesis came into town, and I tell you what, I don't know what it is about the Pirates. They play the best teams in the league, even up, and they play the Milwaukee Brewers like that.
Kryptonite.
They turn into Major League against the Brewers.
Let me tell you something. A few weekends back when the Pirates swept the Reds and Michael McHenry hit 2 home runs in the game, and everybody's like, "Oh man, he should be the starting catcher." Last night proved exactly the reason why he should never be the starting catcher here. He had 6 bases stolen on him last night. I mean, Milwaukee doesn't respect his arms at all. A.J. Burnett.
He's one of
We
the
were
worst
just talking
at
about
holding
fundamentals
runners.
last night, and on a pass ball, he launched it into center field on a pass ball.
Exactly. There was 3 errors in the game last night. A.J. Burnett pitched poorly. He had errors.
His bobblehead night last night too.
That's what threw him off.
And
Nobody wants to see a bobblehead of
the thing is, the
themselves.
Milwaukee Brewers know how to beat the Pirates. And, they did this to him last September. They just ran and ran and ran and ran on him. And that just shows you how valuable Russell Martin is. You look what he was doing in the month of April. Now, he's had a little bit of a twinge in his neck, and he hasn't been playing a lot lately. They need to get him healthy again.
Get him a massage.
And if he is not capable of playing, they need to bring up Tony Sanchez from the Indianapolis team and get him back behind the plate because I love the Fort. Don't get me wrong, but you're just not.
He's a relief catcher.
You're not a good. You're not the starting catcher.
You got to have backup for the backup. I believe me, I know.
You need to throw out at least one of 6 runners when you're stealing bases. The guys are stealing third. You're not even throwing down. I mean, I understand the pitcher plays a little bit into that, because if he quickens his delivery, takes a shorter step, he can give the catcher do that. But AJ Burnett has got a very slow, deliberate delivery. And right now he's leading the National League in strikeouts. He's pitching very well. His ERA is about 2.7, which is great. But the only problem is every time he pitches,
he's not getting
the
run
Pirates
support.
aren't getting any run support. Exactly, Zach. And that's I'll tell you what, they give him the run support that they've given like Wandy Rodriguez or this Jeff Locke.
And that's a shame too when you finally now you have the pitching somewhat, and now the hitting falls away.
Well,
if they could just put it all together, folks.
Consistent.
We would be so much better off in the long haul, but we'll see what happens. A lot more games left to play.
Yes, there is. I'm on the bandwagon, though, still.
You're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Man, it was sour and good.
What Clint Hurdle said about the game last night, he said, the way we played last night, he goes, you just tell the players, go home, take a shower, forget about today, come back to the park ready to play tomorrow because you got to have a short memory. There's another game tonight, so they can't dwell on this, but they really did play poorly last night. And I'm their biggest supporter, but when they play horribly, I'm going to call them out on it.
That's good. Somebody needs to. It's been 20-some years of atrocities.
Only 20. Only 20, young puppy.
Nothing wrong with being in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah.
I only want to be in the Guinness Book for this beard, not for a losing streak.
He got a winning beard.
Winning beard, a championship beard,
Right.
a playoff beard.
No, but I'm still a fan of the Buccos. They played a lot more consistent.
So
I'm happy with that. I just hope it lasts till the end of the year. I would like to see the streak get broken. I would like to see starting pitchers last a little bit longer so they don't have to tap. Oh, man.
So Vokun is human after all.
Let's just call this show 10 minutes
Let's just put
early.
Fleury back in right now.
We got to go in and watch it. How much time left here? Matt, do you have any word? Devin's in there.
We got about
10.
I
know on our show I'm talking Penguins.
there's plenty of time. The game just started.
And it's 1-1. Wow.
15
Hockey's a
minutes in the
fast
game.
game.
I love that
We
arena.
can just get home. I can
Console.
get home. You can come to my house and watch the last 5 minutes of the first period.
I know where you live.
Oh,
You got to
geez.
know something, though, that in this city, we're fortunate enough to have 3 of the best stadiums in the country. We have PNC Park, we have Heinz Field, and we have the Console Energy Center. And by far, all 3 of them, there isn't a bad seat to watch a game in any of them.
And there's a new
203.
state.
203 ain't bad. Heinz Field looked like a unfinished, oversized high school stadium with luxury bars.
Oh, to look across the river. There's a nice stadium there where
The
the
River Hounds.
Passion and the River Hounds
Yeah.
play.
But, you know,
like
to
that.
speak to what Zach's points, we do have 3 top-notch facilities here in the city. And it brings in a tremendous amount of revenue. And, yeah, just a little shout out. I believe the Penguins tonight might be their 292nd consecutive sellout. Okay, so, you know, the taxpayers' money going into putting those places there. But look at the support that the city of Pittsburgh
that
is
streak
giving them.
actually
They're
started
filling the arena, and
in
they're
Mountain.
getting the return on their investment now. You look back at what that idiot down in Miami did, Jeff Loria. He promised
here
them.
he goes again, folks.
He took the taxpayers to task. He took their money, built a stadium, and they are stinking so bad.
Yeah, but their stadium has I think it has a carousel in the outfield. It has a donkey.
And you
It
know
has
what?
Juan Valdez.
And there has
There's
a
all
lot of
kinds
empty. It has a lot of empty seats.
Correct. It's like a joke down there in
team.
Miami.
Well, how
bad
would you
team.
guys rate the arenas? 1, 2, 3.
I'm going Heinz Field 1, Console Energy 2, and the
Heinz
Pirates
Field
3.
1?
I go PNC
Well, my Clayton
1,
Bears do nothing but whoop at over there at Heinz
PNC
Field.
number 1, Console number 2,
And
Heinz
Heinz
number 3, because I talked to a couple architects. There's not much you can do with a football stadium unless you got $1 billion.
But it's wide open. It's great though. It has an open end in the
That's
end.
how they want it.
That affects that
Our
affects
kickers.
things. Other kickers too. Our kickers.
I had season tickets to the Steelers since I was 4. I missed the Steeler home game
How'd
since
you
I was
pay
4.
for them at 4?
Okay. Old Black Magic.
Okay.
But Three Rivers was so perfect noise-wise. Quarterbacks couldn't even hear. They used to turn to the referee, and eventually referee says, hey, you just got to call snaps. That doesn't happen at Heinz Field.
That's why they got rid of the bowl.
They don't even take their mouthpiece
But you know
out picking on
the
them.
problem with those cookie cutter stadiums, and there was like 3 stadiums that were modeled right after one another. There was Veterans Stadium in Philly, the Riverfront, and Three Rivers Stadium. They were great for football. They were the worst places in the world to go see a baseball game. In 1974, I went to the All-Star game down at Three Rivers Stadium. We sat in the 500 or 600 section up near the top of the stadium. And sitting up in your seats, you could. There was a third of left field that you couldn't even see. You know,
Chip,
There
were
was
you
just
at that
no-
game? I was there too.
Mm-hmm.
We were at the top, right behind the flag. The flag was inside Three
Peanut
Rivers
heaven?
at the time. Yeah,
We were about 4
We had-
rows from the.
We had
roof.
my buddies from the Pittsburgh Press there. I was only 18 at the time. We were up there behind the flagpole with Zook, Bobby,
Let me tell you,
Billy, all these guys, and JP. I remember it like it was yesterday.
That visit to Three Rivers Stadium.
You were right
just
near
a
us.
little- That visit to that stadium caused my father to never ever go and set foot in Three Rivers Stadium again, because back when Three Rivers Stadium was put in, there was no access to it. They didn't have any exit ramps to it, and traffic was a nightmare. He brought us down to the game, and there was me and some of my friends and a couple of other adults, and we sat in traffic for 2.5 hours, 300 yards from the stadium, and couldn't move. So finally, my father gave the tickets to the adults that were with us, and they took us up to the seats. By the time my father got the car parked and made it up to the seats, it was almost the 7th inning, and he was he was so pissed that he never, even though when I was getting free tickets to Pirate games from some of the players back in the 80s, my father would not go near Three Rivers Stadium. One time, and that was it. You didn't get a second chance with him.
is true.
So,
That is-
PNC Park is a great place to watch a ball game. I just wish
It
the
is.
team was as great as the stadium was.
We'll be
Like
hopeful.
Like Heinz Field.
they're headed in the right direction.
Definitely.
Hope so.
And we're starting to wrap it up. We got about 5 minutes or so, and usually I like to do closing remarks. So we'll start with Smoking Jim. If you have any closing remarks, any events you got coming up, whatever you want to do, models you want to promote, or anything else.
Well, I sure do. I got a closing remark.
You got a minute or so take your time.
I'll go very quickly.
No, take your time.
I always felt like the Pittsburgh Steelers blew up the wrong stadium. They should have blew up Heinz Field and kept Three Rivers. And that's my
They couldn't. They reversed it. You can't blow up something and keep it when it's gone. I watched them blow it up, buddy.
I mean, you look at that place. You can only have 8 events there a year. You know, I thought they should have had something that was
A dome.
inclusive, a dome that could open up. Whatever that you could have shopping malls in, that you could have concerts in, that you could do something. They did a very, very cheap $275,000 stadium in today's age is nothing.
$275 million.
Million.
And you know what, Jim? I'm glad you said that they only have 8 events there a year, because I know there's 10 Steeler home games played there every year. Those 2 preseason games. The fact that they charge full price for those tickets is highway robbery.
And the best thing they ever have is they have the intramural team that comes in from Clareton every year, and everybody seems to like that.
Hey, single
Class
A,
A,
the
though.
Bears.
Shout out to
Bears.
Clareton, the champs.
Hey, I've been fortunate enough to. I have grandparents that forged their roots in Clareton, and some that forged their roots in Homestead. So by far, and when it comes to the city of Pittsburgh, I'm from 2 of the hardest parts of the city by far. So nobody could take that away from us.
Weren't you from Munhall too, or what?
Well, I moved up like the Jeffersons. I started out down on 10th Avenue in Homestead, and I moved up to 20th. So now I'm in Munhall. So
Another 5 years, you'll be in Monroeville and really moving.
I'm thinking about TJ, Thomas Jefferson, Bill Turpak, man, another Still Valley guy, man. I'm coming with my sons.
Well, when he
eventually.
starts having kids, that's where he's going. You
Well, he
know
already
that.
knows I want a car. I want more. I got a house. I need a car. I always like something to drive.
What can
nice.
Gateway do for
Then
you?
there's girls. Some girls. Hopefully my girl's not listening.
Well, you don't mind a little controversy. Was that your closing remarks?
No,
sir?
no. You
Oh,
got me
you have something
sidetracked.
serious.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. I got something more. One more
All
thing
right,
to
because
say.
we're winding
Shout out
down.
to the champ, Lightning Rod Soka. Looking forward to this upcoming fight. Hopefully, we're trying to get something done in August here with Jason Bergman again, fighting for a belt. So Rod will be fighting for more belts. Jason will be fighting for belts. So it just feels good to be associated with the best, train with the best, do security for the best, and hopefully nothing but the best for all my guys coming up here in the future.
Nice. All right, Chip, what do you got to close with
Well,
here?
to close out with, I just want to give a shout out to all the crybabies in sports that kind of blame their failures on
He's on a
somebody
roll.
else. We got Alex
Ovechkin.
Ovechkin.
Oh, I didn't know
And I'd
that.
like to give another special shout out to Sergio Garcia. You know, you choked when you're going head to head against Tiger Woods, and you're trying to come up with some other reason for the fact that you lost other than you suck.
Wow.
Well, I don't think he sucks. I just think that he buckles under pressure. There's a difference between sucking
Right.
and buckling under pressure. The great ones find a
He's
way
a
to.
choke artist,
Yeah.
you're saying.
Okay. Yeah, he chokes.
So, my point being, it
Ovechkin
wasn't
and
anybody's
Sergio
fault
should
that
team
you
up.
lost the tournament other than yourself, because it wasn't Tiger Woods that was chunking balls into the water at the 17th hole.
Tiger
And
Woods-
on the 18th hole, he chunked another
He
one
gets
into
in
the
their
water.
heads.
Yeah.
So, if these people would just admit their shortcomings, and Alex Ovechkin, I hope you have a nice long summer, and maybe the temperature will warm up there in Siberia for you.
He got enough money that
Russia.
he can pay for the heat there in Siberia. No
Maybe
problem.
you can pay for some teeth.
The thing, real quick, the thing about Ovechkin is Ovechkin's from inside the city and Malkin's from more out in the farmland. So you can see the differences in the two characters of the individuals. You know how Ovechkin is
and
how
where I see
Malkin
the
is.
difference between Ovechkin and Malkin, Malkin's got a heart.
One's still playing as
Yeah.
we speak right now, and one's getting ready to golf with Sergio
Yeah, hopefully
Garcia.
he's scoring there. Any update here before we close? Still 1-1.
1-1.
Maybe they can
Let's
take
go
a time
Pens.
out so we can get home and
Go
watch
Pens.
that.
That's what's on my mind. Whiners and criers.
I got you. Those are good closes there.
Chip
And,
killed it tonight, folks.
and then look at Tiger Woods. Fastest he's won 4 championships this year. So
No majors, though. He hasn't won a major in like 5 years. So until he wins a major, then it's all
And,
here nor
and
there.
I've said it before on this air, he will not win another major.
and I disagree with
I got
him.
to document that.
I
too.
predicted the Masters the last couple years, and he didn't do that. But he will win a couple more majors. There's no doubt in my mind. He has a new girlfriend now, so he'll be fine. And he still has. Where are all those waitresses at?
Come out to Sip Sports Ball, you lovely blonde waitresses.
Well, we'll revisit that. Hey, I want to thank everybody for watching the show. Chief, I hope you had your dessert. I tried to wait till the end to thank you for always being a loyal fan there, and all the people that come out, Mike Brown, Deanna, Stephanie, of course. They're doing a little thing, folks. Whenever I mention Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook, you can have a drink. So when you're watching the show,
A little shout out
have
to
a drink
Chief.
on us.
Chief, get that squad of geeks to fix your computer, bro.
Come on, Chief. See you Monday, Chief. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, Mom.
Maybe we'll have some help by a young lady that can fix computers next week. So come to Sip
All right.
Sports Bar. Thanks for watching our show. Thanks to Dave Cable and Aaron Ward for getting our video here and up online. It's everywhere. So good night, folks. Go Pens.